Time is 7 o'clock, and will you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? As the audience probably has figured out, Mr. Lemon is joining us from his home, and Ms. Ewers will most likely be joining us very soon. Item 3.02, approval of the agenda. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved by Ms. Trejo and seconded by Mr. Miller. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item passes 4-0. Item 4.01, approval modification of minutes from the April 19th governing board meeting. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Trejo and seconded by Mr. Miller. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item passes 4-0. Item 4.02, approval modification minutes from the April 19th governing board executive session. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Trejo, seconded by Mr. Miller. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item passes 4-0. Item 4.03, man, we were busy. Approval modification of minutes from the May 3rd special governing board meeting. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Trejo and seconded by Mr. Miller. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, item passes 5-0.
Were we all at that meeting?
Someone was missing.
We have to abstain if
Allison, were you at the May 3rd meeting?
No, I'm sorry, I can't say aye.
Okay, so
Oh,
you
no,
abstain.
wait, the May 3rd meeting, yes. Hold on, no, I lied. Take me out.
So you abstain with one abstention.
One abstention.
Okay. Item 5.01, approval of consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Trejo and seconded by Mr. Miller. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item passes 5-0. Mr. Mangini.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Driscoll. I'm very excited this evening. We have 3 individuals that you approved on the personnel summary that I'd like to speak about this evening. I will start with the individual that you recommended here. Let's see. Tonight you approved Ms. Melissa Ramos to the position of Coordinator of Organizational Effectiveness, and I'll share a little bit about her background. Melissa earned a Bachelor's of Science degree in Biology and Secondary Education from Providence College and a Master's of Educational Leadership from Rhode Island College. Melissa brings an extensive background in education, serving as a high school teacher, biology instructor, and most recently as the K-8 STEM coordinator in our school district. Those who know Melissa best know that she is an insightful leader who conducts herself with honesty and integrity. She is devoted to her work and a competent, detailed-oriented individual with multitasking skills that cannot be beat. She is excited to continue to be part of the Tempe Elementary School District and ready to utilize her strengths in making our district a better place. We are confident that she will continue to be an asset in her new role. Congratulations, Ms. Melissa Ramos.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, and Dr. Driscoll. I would like to thank you for this opportunity. I am eager to join in the good work that is being done in the district by my esteemed colleagues, and I am excited that my new role will allow me to have a greater positive impact on the students and staff of TD3. Thank you.
All right. You also approved Ms. Lisa Maliki to the position of Principal of Broadmoor Elementary School, and I'll share a little bit about her. Ms. Maliki brings with her earned a bachelor's degree in elementary education from Arizona State University and a master's degree in educational administration from Grand Canyon University. Ms. Maliki brings with her over 20 years of experience in education, serving as an elementary teacher, reading interventionist, academic coach, ELL instructional coach, new teacher induction specialist, and most recently as the assistant principal at Thew Elementary for the past 4 years. Those who know Lisa best have shared that she is a highly dedicated professional who knows how to motivate her peers and always strive for excellence. In addition to her kind tone and genuine desire to help teachers grow, Lisa is recognized for her tenacity and determination to see her students succeed. Congratulations to our new Broadmoor principal, Ms. Lisa Melicky.
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Driscoll, thank you very much for this opportunity. I look forward to becoming and leading the Broadmoor family. I know it's a unique campus in our district, and I'm so excited to take them forward. And we're hashtagging Broadmoor to the core. It's going to be our tagline. Thank you.
Would you like to introduce who you brought along? Would you like to introduce who you brought along?
Thank you, yes. So Nate Maruka, he's led me and taught me so many things across the last 4 years. Thank you, Mr. Maruka. My daughter, Madison, my mom, Linda, and my dad, Mike.
Good job. Thank you.
All right, one more to go here. Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Driscoll, you also approved Dr. Victor Diaz to the position of Director of Employee Experience and Engagement, and I'll share a little bit about his background. Dr. Diaz earned a bachelor's degree in broadcast journalism with a minor in Spanish from Arizona State University, a master's degree in education equity and social justice from San Francisco University, and a PhD in education leadership and policy studies from Arizona State University. Dr. Diaz brings over 20 years of experience serving in such roles as high school English and ELD teacher, middle school ELA and achievement advisor, diversity director, director of design and culturally responsive teaching, governing board clerk and member in the Osborne School District, student achievement strategist and human resources coordinator in the Isaac School District, and most recently as the director of human resources in the Phoenix Elementary School District for the past 5 years. Dr. Diaz is excited to be part of the Tempe Elementary School District family and is ready to be the customer service point of contact for new employees, principals, district leaders in our district. Congratulations to our new Director of Employee Experience and Engagement, Dr. Victor Diaz.
Thank you. Excuse me, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Driscoll, and members of the Tempe community. It is absolutely an honor to be here today. I am the proud son of Humberto and Patricia Diaz, grandson of Humberto and Isabel Diaz of Sonora and Nogales, Arizona, and Roscoe and Roscoe and Helen Combs from Appalachia and upstate New York. Eso es la razón que puedo hablar así, pero parece así. And I always like to share that because I always bring them to the work that I do. But I'm also joined tonight by my family. I have my wonderful wife, Ari, and our 3 sons, Benny, Sammy, and Charlie. I will share that we were very lucky to have Benny come into our lives right when I was graduating from ASU. Sammy came into our lives right when I joined the Isaac School District. Charlie right when I joined the Phoenix School District. So I'm not saying it's a pattern that my wife always finds herself pregnant when I get a new job, but we're all a little nervous. At the same time, we're also very excited. Just a lot of thanks to Ms. Meany, to the members of the panel from the interview. So excited to be a part of this legacy here in Tempe and a part of the future of our community that's going to be driven by the success of our students. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you. We're so excited to have everybody on board. Looking forward to it. Along with the employment that was approved, we also approved Carminati receiving a beautification gift valued at over $2,000, an approval of Curry Elementary to accept a landscape beautification grant valued at $40,000, Holdeman, Mosley, and Scales accepting snack bags for their McKinney-Vento population valued at $4,400, Tempe Elementary School District to accept a donation of epinephrine from BioRidge Pharma valued at $15,570, and approval of a $16,600 back-to-school grant from the Virginia G. Piper Trust for 10 of our elementary schools. Oh, and I forgot the MIM field trip grant that Tempe Elementary got, as well as the Native American program getting the $20,000 from Going the Extra Mile. So thank you to all of our community partners for those donations. Item 6.01, Celebration of Excellence. Dr. Driscoll.
Good evening, Madam President, Members of the board, tonight I will share a few items for Celebrating Excellence. And I always tell the people in the audience, you can stay as long as you want, but you're free to go if you want to go. So, all right. The first and second week of May marked several appreciation days for our school staff. The Tempe Elementary was proud to celebrate the important work of our teachers, school administrators, and our school nurses. School Principals Day took place on Monday, May 1st. School Nurses Appreciation Week took place between May 6th through May 12th, and Teacher Appreciation Week took place Monday, May 8th through Friday, May 12th. On top of everything that they do day in and day out for our students and staff, these individuals are key to ensuring safe and positive learning environments for our students. We appreciate all the work that they do each and every day for the students here in TD3. On Tuesday, May 9th, we celebrate outstanding Tempe Elementary teachers and staff at the 34th Annual Tempe Diablos Excellence in Education Awards. Joining us in celebrating our 2023 winners from the Tempe Elementary School District. Teacher of the Year, Ellen Miller from Arredondo Elementary. Lifetime Achievement recipient, and she's here in the audience today, Cindy Ditton. Class Act, Carlos Cruz from Arredondo Elementary. High Impact, Cher Bingham from Curry Elementary. Leadership, Trish Garrity from District Office. And then we had a rising star, Courtney Clark from Mosley Middle School. And the inspiration, Danielle Sullivan from Curry Elementary. It was really awesome to see them on the stage. It was a really cool venue. I had never been to Wild Horse Pass and saw that venue. So it was really awesome to celebrate all those wonderful people. Students from Geneva Epps Mosley Middle School and Scales Technology Academy, along with Ward Traditional Academy, wrote letters to Pen Pals throughout the school year through the Pen Pals for Seniors, a program run by Tempe Elementary's Amy Garza, Visual Communication Specialist. I love the students in the background. Yeah. And if they want to come to Tempe, Vic, they don't have to be quiet. They can keep talking. That's more important for them. The groups exchanged hundreds of letters since the beginning of the school year. During the meetup events, Pen Pal pairs made friendship bracelets and did a word search. Now in its sixth year, the Pen Pals program has touched the lives of countless students and seniors in Tempe and beyond. They're getting really good. Tomorrow marks the last day of school for the 2022-2023 school year. We would like to take this time to reflect and celebrate the legacy of excellence that we built this year and the many opportunities of success that we have found along the way. Thank you to all our Tempe Elementary community for contributing to a positive and rewarding school year. And that concludes my Celebrate Excellence for this evening.
Thank you very much for that, Dr. Driscoll, and for Brittany Franklin and her team for putting that together. Item 7.01, return over to Mr. Mankini for a presentation of the 2023-2024 interest-based negotiation agreement.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm sad that my PowerPoint presentation has to follow that video, so I appreciate that. I am very excited to be at this point in our school year where we're presenting recommendations from the IBN team for the 23-24 school year. Before we kind of go through some of the highlights of this year's recommendations, I wanted the opportunity to introduce our team members who were present for the IBN team this year. On the admin side, we had myself, Mr. Eric Thompson, Vernice Sharp, principal of Nevitt Elementary, Matt Strauss, principal of Aguilar. We also had a non-voting member who is an observer, Lucas Pugh, our principal of Conley Middle School. On our TEA team, we had Allie Holden, Fuller Elementary School, 4th grade. Darren Gonzalez, our do-it-all Swiss Army knife, everything. Stephanie Roman, our science STEM specialist. And then also Miss Deb Pardee, Conley Middle School, 8th grade science teacher. So every year, the group comes together, and after sending out our IBN survey, we look for information to discuss salaries, benefits, create a new miscellaneous rate schedule, and potentially recommendations for policy. As I was stating, these are the things that we're looking for. The last few years, we've obviously been met with a lot of different challenges that present themselves. So this team, it wasn't any different. This year we had a lot of factors that we would address specific that would affect salaries and benefits and working conditions for all of our employees. Last year, if you remember correctly, we agreed when we made a presentation that we were going to conduct a compensation study this year. That was specific to classified and health services employees. And so we did do that. We utilized Heinfeld Meach as a group to go out and conduct that survey. If you recall, they also came and presented that information to the board. With that information, then we took it back to the IBN team and used that information as well as the information from the survey for all of our IBN discussions. So here's where we are with our recommendations. I won't go through and list every single category that's on there, but it is extensive this year. There was a lot of thought and consideration that was given based on the compensation market study that we conducted as well as the information that we collected from the survey. And so as you can see, we have raises for specific groups. I'll kind of go through here so that you can just have a cursory review here, but certified teachers, we addressed the starting base salary, and we're also able to recommend an increase to the classroom site fund by $500, so that would increase from $2,500 to $3,000. We were able to raise a recommendation to raise base pay for counselors, social workers, nurses, psychologists, psychologist interns, BCBA, our HIVI group, SLPs, OT and PT, and administrators. We are also able to look at our classified employees, again, specific to our compensation study. We are able to provide additional increases for all of these groups listed here: custodians, lead custodians, grounds, health assistants, office assistants, carpenters, executive administrative assistants, fit drivers, liaisons, library assistants, TSAs, the list goes on and on. So we were very proud of the work that we were able to do in terms of trying to address as many of our employee groups as we could. So all other classified staff not named on the IBN agreement would also be receiving a 2% raise. All of these recommendations of raises will impact our miscellaneous rate schedule that was amended because of the increase in starting salary. This is information that went out to all of our employees. Most of this work goes through the insurance trust, but it also comes back to the IBN table. And so you've already seen this information, but this is just some of the changes that will be impacted for next year related to our employee benefits. I want to highlight that our district will still continue to offer 3 health benefit plans, 1 free plan, 2 paid options on the PPO plan. So Arizona State Retirement will also be, contribution rates will also increase from 12.17% to 12.29%. Talking about our IBN process and ratification, so after we've reached this tentative agreement, we present it to Dr. Driscoll for approval. Once approved by the superintendent, we put it out there for ratification. That goes out to our entire school district for 5 days. After that ratification process is done, we bring this tentative agreement to you guys as the governing board. A little difficult to see, I know, but the IBN agreement did pass overwhelmingly. We had about a 90% approval of the agreement, and just under 10% there, 9% no. We also put it out for ratification, our 301 Classroom Site Fund Plan. That one passed with a 99%. There were 5 individuals that did not approve of the additional funds for 301. So I'm here this evening presenting that information. Again, you've also seen the information in the plan, in the 301 plan, in the IBN agreement. But we ask that you approve our 2023-2024 IBN agreement and that you approve the 23-24 Professional Investment 301 plan. And as always, thank you for the governing board and Dr. Driscoll for your continued support.
Any questions from the board? Comments? Ms. Trejo?
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Mr. McGinney, for the presentation. And I want to thank everyone who worked on this agreement, all of you out there. I know that's not easy and no easy task, so appreciate all of your hard work because I know it took a lot. And I was really relieved to see some, a good raise for our nurses specifically who, advocated last year, and unfortunately, we, missed out. And just wondering if, did you do any data on the 10% that didn't approve? Because maybe that was something we missed, so we can look into that too.
That's a great question. It is something that we'll go back and look at. A lot of the information comes through. One of the things that I'll share with you that I'm very proud of, we've been conducting interest-based negotiations in this district for over 20 years. And in that time, and the team will attest to it, that we always do a great job of being fair and looking at and equitable to all of our employee groups. And so we know in our conversations that if there are groups that weren't addressed in this particular IBN session, that those will be groups that we'll be looking at next year to make to ensure that that there is a cycle to it. We wish the pot of money was larger so that we could just say, and you get this and you get that. Unfortunately, we have to have some really tough conversations. Have to address the groups that we can at this time.
Definitely, and appreciate that overwhelming support, and thankful again for all your work. And I think this might be the first time that I've sat on this board that the state budget actually passed before we had our IBN. So yeah, so thank you guys. You should celebrate.
Are there any questions or comments from Mr. Lemon or Ms. Ewers?
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to congratulate everyone.
All right, I guess that leaves me. So I didn't hear the answer to Ms. Trejo's question about the 10% who voted no. I tend not to like to focus on the minority when it's especially such a small minority. However, I think there's some merit in what Ms. Trejo was asking about those people. Is there an opportunity for them to make comments or state why they voted against it?
There is not in the ratification process, so we can't track who voted yes, who voted no. There's no opportunity to say this is Mike McGinney and I say yes or no. What I'll share with all of you that I share with all of our staff is that One of the great parts about interest-based negotiations and the fact that we have a vehicle for every employee to have their voice heard is that we send out that IBN survey. That is the opportunity for every single voice to be heard. And so, again, I'll put it back to the team. We read through every single line in that survey. And so if somebody wasn't addressed this year, they know that they have that option. I always put it out that you can email any of us directly, but you can also put it on the survey if you don't want to share who you are. The survey's anonymous. We always tell you, Big Brother's not watching, we don't know who you are. So put it out there and we're gonna talk about it and we're gonna address it. So I hope that answers the question. We won't have it specifically, but their voice is always heard.
Got it, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I do appreciate, I remember that last time with the nurse group specifically, and you made the same promise that we will address it again, and obviously that happened.
Yep.
I have to say, when I see even $1.62 per hour raise, I know some people might think that that's really small, but I worked for 3 years for a charter school, and I received each year a nickel per hour raise, and so $1.62 looks phenomenal to me. So thank you to you and to the team. I have so much, I don't like to use the word pride, but I guess there's no other word. Just, I think it's a wonderful opportunity that we have to come together and say we all impact children. All of our needs and all of our wants are equally important. We just have to do it where we can. And like Ms. Ewer said, within the parameters of what we have. So I really appreciate all the effort you guys put into that. All right, thank you, Mr. McGee. Item 7.02, presentation of the Sperkelly Innovation City Planning Project. Katie Moe.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, and Dr. Driscoll. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. I don't know, you guys are so formal and just do my best. Okay, I am Katie Moe. I am the Director of Innovative Learning, which is the area of focus in the innovation enterprise. And so Dr. Driscoll brought this team on, and I really wanted to share some of the things that we're working on that are in line with Dr. Driscoll's vision and how we provided a proof of concept at Sperkelly, and I wanted to share a little bit about that with you. So I wanted to first do our mission. I'm not going to be reading from the slides. I'm going to try not to. But we decided as a team that our mission and the area of focus of innovation is in collaboration with departments and stakeholders across the district and community. Our goal is to ensure that all students leave TD3 college, career, and world ready, equipped with the skills needed to be leaders, entrepreneurs, and innovators of tomorrow. Our team wants to support innovative learning for students and teachers, and we're going to talk about the 4 core beliefs that we have and how we used the Sperkelly Innovation Project to springboard those pillars. The first one is that community engagement is essential. And for that, we really wanted to be focused on the work that Michelle Grimaldi had started as Director of Wraparound Services. We initially worked together at the beginning of the year, and we did a business leaders breakfast, and we started presenting kind of a few of the seeds of what we wanted to do, but we knew that we had a lot of willing people in our community that want to help and support TD3. And so with all those experiences that we can provide students, and with our strategic plan being so heavily aligned with community engagement for our families, for our community, we really believe that bringing those stakeholders into our classrooms to share their expertise, their knowledge, their experiences with the world is going to benefit our students. And we wanted to design some resources around that philosophy. So Michelle had started this conversation with many people. She invited me in, she introduced me to many, many people. And we had a large number of people that were focused around the area of sustainability. And so when we started really looking at the people in sustainability within Tempe, we thought, all right, how can we start to align this work with those community groups? Dr. Driscoll had taken us to Dreamscape Learn at ASU, and we had an experience called Alien Zoo, where it's an AR, VR simulation experience, and it invokes empathy from the participants, from yourself. If you start to care about this dinosaur and you really want to save him and protect him. So that whole philosophy and design thinking model of using empathy to guide, we thought, okay, let's think about how we can make sustainability real for our 5th graders. We started with our standards alignment, We looked at how we could connect standards and experiences for students, and then we started to bring in all of these different partners to have this conversation. All of them were so excited. How can we help? How can we do more? Our next belief is that future readiness and relevancy to the changing global landscape is embedded in everything that we do. I really want to hit home that we believe that experiences should be driving the student learning, and that being a student is not passive. Absolutely, we want our students engaged. We want our students hands-on, thinking about the real world, thinking about how things work together and connect. And that is something, especially with the soft skills and the collaboration piece, is how can we really start to have students connect the real world to their learning and to what they're experiencing right here in Tempe. And so a big part of that was, we're thinking about sustainability, we're thinking about city planning, we're thinking about right where we live, and we're in a landlocked area. So we were like, okay, how can we bring this to life of living in an area where we can't really grow out anymore? We have to think of other ways where we can live and exist in Tempe. So we were like, okay, we met with the teachers. We started doing this bi-monthly. We met with Spurcali every other week from October until February when we went live. But we were talking, and we had some really basic things about living in a grid system, and we were talking about how can we build up? What does it look like if we run out of different water sources? And we talked about all kinds of things like that. And one of the teachers said, do you think students would really care about that? How can we make it real to them? And that was like such a valid thought of, how are we going to hook our kids? How are we going to get them to buy in that they should care about this and they should start coming up with solutions? So we went in a different direction. We used something called the GRASP model, which is by Jay McTighe. And essentially, you're creating an experience for the students where they become the expert. So we had this prompt. It's based on a real prompt. Bill Gates has bought this amount of land in Phoenix to build a smart city, and it's projected in 20 years that he's going to do this. So it's a real world scenario. And then we started thinking, how are we going to have kids start to consume and be able to plan and build something like this, right? They're gonna design their own smart city. How are they gonna do it? So we brought in our stakeholder groups and we divided them up into 6 categories. So we had transportation experts, we had city planning experts, we had sustainability experts, we had food experts, we had recreation experts, and then we had government service experts. So those experts came into our school, shared about their career, did hands-on activities if it was suitable, and had the kids really interacting with them, with their careers. And these experts were weighing in how they would solve this issue. How would they build a sustainable smart city? How would they talk about transportation? And they introduced electric vehicles, autonomous vehicles, different ways to charge and power a city, and talked about all of those things. Additionally, we really wanted to expose our students to the various technology tools that we have access to here in TD3, so that people would begin to see how we could utilize these tools, how could the learning environment look a little bit different, and how can we really focus on those soft skills while not losing the standards piece and really making sure the engagement was on point. So we included in this students accessing information through AR/VR. So they were in a landfill. They had their goggles on, they're in a landfill. They're looking at what it would look like if you had that landfill. We had students utilizing multiple modalities of blended learning. So we had choice boards where students could choose how they wanted to learn the information. Did they want to watch a video? Did they want to read an article? Did they want to play a game or do something like that? And we had choice built in. We also had a station rotation where kids would move from station to station. Maybe they were working on something asynchronously on their computer, watching a video, making a video recording of themselves, reflecting, and then they moved to the next. And then we also implemented a playlist model where students they could go in any order that they wanted, but they had to complete X amount of items, and we would provide that structure for them. So that structure was for the students and for the teachers so that we can help support implementation. The other piece that we really wanted to focus on was sometimes technology and the integration of technology, of course, is seen as an innovation. It doesn't always have to be tech-driven, but we wanted to make sure that we were driving home that we were using the devices intentionally. We were never utilizing them as a filler, but as a tool to help them navigate through all of the content, the curriculum that we were exposing them to. And that's one of our core beliefs, is that we can set up our classrooms in a way that can support these things. So through this project and our different models of station rotation, playlist, and choice board, students had agency and choice. We were able to differentiate. All students were included, all students. We had elements of self-pacing so that they could monitor at their own pace, but we also had progress tracking so that teachers could see at a moment's notice, they could see where every student in that classroom was in terms of the outcomes that we were trying to work towards. And then, of course, the models that we're utilizing with the station rotation, playlist, and choice board. That was the processing of the learning that the experts provided to our students during the sessions that they had with them. The final thing is that teachers need that ongoing job-embedded support, and we want to make sure that we're providing just-in-time support so that we can be whisper coaching, we can be working alongside of them. To make this shift happen, we had half of our team subbing, myself included, subbing over at Spercali so that we could have the teachers come in and that we could provide them professional learning. So the whole day, they learned about all of the models. We taught them all the things about proficiency-based teaching and self-pacing. We had all the components, a full day of learning while we worked with the students on site, because we know how important it is that we provide that learning so that we can scaffold and provide. We want sustainability within this program, and we want teachers to be able to implement and have our support. And so they got that really close training, but then they also were able to leave their classroom stress-free and not worry about either coming in the afternoon or whatever. But we wanted to we were that committed and dedicated that we knew that we needed to be able to support them in that way. Okay. It's here. We want people to be thinking of innovation and education as synonymous, but what we do can and should be immersed in everyday experiences in the classroom. With my team, we had participated with ASU in something called Dreamscape Learn, where they use some immersive technology, AR, VR, to create an experience that invokes empathy. And so I was hoping to try to recreate something similar, but here in Tempe. We wanted to create a real world scenario and then also some partners that could be stakeholders that could be invested in this.
The City Design Project is an opportunity for students to collaborate and work as a team to design the most innovative and sustainable city they want for their future. And so we're combining a bunch of different standards and integrating reading, writing, and math so they have a project where they can showcase what they hope the future looks like.
So teachers have so many standards they need to accomplish, so if you can come up with an activity that gets to more than one standard at one time, so math, language arts, social studies, and science were all standards that were able to be incorporated into this project, then that's going to be really beneficial for the teachers as well as for the kids.
At this age, they're at a super formative age. They're getting ready to go to middle school, and they're going to be spread out between so many places. And if we can have them collaborating and learning how to be sustainable and innovative, they can be more successful in the future if we start them now. That was our real goal, is to create an innovative mindset with these kids.
Experiential hands-on learning is how you involve the entire kid. You know, you get them making something, get them challenged, get them making mistakes, get them hearing from experts really makes the learning tangible. This is something that can be applicable to everyday life. It makes an imprint. It resulted in that genuine engagement throughout the whole process.
Teamwork is essential no matter how old you are, and I think when they learn how to work with people of different strengths, and they learn how to balance their skills, it will help them in their future for college and careers.
With this project, they're really diving into their own city, and teachers are really not facilitating everything. Whatever they need, whatever they feel their city needs, they are doing as a group.
All of us had these new ideas, these ideas that we've never even thought about doing. But I'm like really impressed with my team and like the work that they were doing. So yeah, I was just like really proud of them, you know, because they actually like were thinking of the project as the most important thing right now that's going on.
Any experience that you can give kids is going to be more impactful to them than any recall of knowledge that you ask them to do. So they're going to remember this for a long time because it's experiential.
The whole time we're trying to think, this is fifth graders doing this, and as our experts would say, they said, I can't believe you guys are doing this with fifth graders. Like I couldn't imagine college kids doing this, let alone fifth graders, so this is just amazing.
I think this project provides an incredible experience and exposure to the larger city as a whole. I saw embedded in a lot of the lessons, the math, the language, the geography. So they're really taking away a lot of the basic fundamental skills that a student should be learning in school. I think it's fantastic and innovative by the teachers.
Favorite part of today was definitely seeing the kids design their favorite elements of the park and getting to see them draw and seeing them put trees and natural elements and lakes and just really incorporating some natural elements into those parks that maybe they wouldn't have considered before.
They could not believe that they got a chance to talk to some of these people and learn about what they do and ask questions and be in the same room as them, and creating those entry points for students is huge.
The thing I found most interesting, an expert, she came and she had a shirt, and it was a shirt and it was made out of plastic, but it felt like a regular shirt and everything, and I was like, wow, like I can do that too. So I wanted to do that in my city.
You look at a project like this and you're going to take students who are so moldable, so willing to learn, and so excited to take in this information. And they're gonna go, wow, this is something I can do as a job. Maybe I wanna be a city planner. Maybe I wanna work with electric vehicles, or I wanna be a chef. This project was so much more than just getting ready for the test. This is those higher order thinking skills that are really gonna push these students to just an absolute new level.
Watching them engage with our experts has been so powerful because these are real people who have these jobs in this industry, and it's almost been like a job fair or a career fair. They didn't even realize these jobs existed.
Well, hopefully there's a future architect or landscape designer or land use planner in the mix there. I think just giving kids as many opportunities as they have to think about how things work is always great.
Our city basically runs on electricity. We put electric scooters, we have electric bikes, we have a train, electric train, and we have electric cars. If you have an electric vehicle, you would get 10% off when you go shopping, and you would get paid $50 to $100.
Intellectually, it challenged them every single day, and they took it in stride, and I didn't know if we were gonna make it successfully, but we have, and they've blown me away every single day.
So while we kind of scrunched it all into 1 week, the learning was so powerful, and it really was proof that students do learn in this way. Students were proud of their city, they were proud of what they had created, and they could speak so knowledgeably about so many different things. The amount that they were able to absorb, process, and then able to apply it to the project was amazing. It was a super success. Okay, so for our next steps, we would like to implement this specific project at more sites. And we would like to start to build capacity for all of our teachers to be able to build these kind of units out. Because how it worked was, we know that teachers are so busy and they have so much to do. And we would meet after school, of course, with them to plan, but we knew that we couldn't go as fast as we wanted to because of the limitations of time. And so our team, the Innovation Learning group, we would build out a section. So we'd build out the transportation resources, and then we'd share it with them. They would review all of the resources and say, this one would work, this one wouldn't work, give us feedback, and we would kind of implement. But the Innovative Learning team did the heavy lifting. But we want to build that capacity so that we can have this style of project that we wouldn't have to always be working so close with them. But we would also like to transfer this process into different types of situations, like with the GRASS model for other grade levels, and use those stakeholder groups, those people within our community that want to be here, and build additional units so all students can experience this type of learning. We want to continue to train teacher schools and departments in the innovative strategies and what this looks like. We're lucky with our admin retreat that Dr. Driscoll was really really wanted innovation as one of our main components. And so we have an expert in innovation coming, Dr. Catlin Tucker, that will be talking about innovation with that group, and we'll continue to build that sustainability. And then we're going to present at the end of that session of how we can support all the schools with innovation and how we can help scaffold. And then additionally, we want to make sure that we are adding all of these innovative practices and all of the things that we've learned and that we're continuing to learn and build and implement that into Blueprint, which is the project that we're also working on. So making sure that's in there. I really wanted to make sure that recognize the people that did the heavy lifting on this. So Cindy Inman, the assistant director, she was integral in making sure all of the pieces and components were working together and that everyone was doing their part. Paul West was our project manager for this. So he was constantly revising, updating, making changes, and was just the man of the hour. Mark Osmond was there. He was our tech guy. He was videoing. He was really engaged in the process and making sure everything went smoothly, and then the rest of our team. Then, of course, the staff over at Spercali was so incredible in allowing us to work with them and to highlight some of our work. And then, of course, all of our partners that were so amazing and graceful and willing to do more and more. They said, please keep it coming. We love being part of this process, and they want to continue. So, which is wonderful. Okay, that is all. Questions?
Allison, do you have any questions for Katie Moe?
Hi there, thank you, Madam President. I would just like to say bravo. It was fantastic to watch you through this not just week process, month, year process. And if there was light bulbs on every one of these kids' heads, I was able to see them shine so bright that they were just blinking. It was able to take learning. I was able to watch the children bring everything full circle. Why are we reading? Why are we doing math? Why are we talking geometry? Why are we even talking about poop, right? Like, these are things that make the world go round. And they were able to put it all together. The experts that you brought in, I wish I could have attended every single one of those seminars. And the innovation learning group should be very proud of themselves. On occasion, I have people who come to me and say, oh, the public schools, they're just teaching math, reading, all old school. You know what? I challenge them to come to me, and I want them to know about this project, because this is not old school. This is how we truly learn in a daily life, and how I do projects in my own life, right? In my business, you have projects, you have to build a plan. The students had to build the plan. They had to go by the plan. They had to do it, fail, repeat, do it. Like, this is real life stuff. And I'm just grateful for everybody in the community that helped with this. I'm grateful for you guys. And I hope to see more of it. You have my complete support on this. And I know it was a ton of work, but gosh, there was so much energy in the building while it was going on. And I wish that everyone in the city was required to take this week course before they could live here, so that they could understand everything of how a city works and how we can continue as a community to make things better. And isn't that our job? We're here to teach people how to be innovative and be there to come up with creative solutions. And these kids were creative, and I can assure everyone that they don't have to worry. Pretty much every city still had a Dunkin' Donuts and a Chick-fil-A. So I think we're all going to still be good in the necessities, the main needs that we have. I don't know how we're going to grow donuts. We didn't get that far in the conversation. But congratulations to all of you. And thank you for allowing me to be a part of the backdrop to kind of peek in on the fantastic job that you've done. Congrats.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Ewers. Mr. Lemon?
Thank you, Madam President. I thought that it's wonderful to do applied learning and applied projects as my master's is in applied geography. And that's what I do on a daily basis. And I use all those other skills to go ahead and work on problem solving. So I really appreciate it. It would be great if we could get the slide deck and the video. It's hard to see remotely here, but that would be nice. very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Trejo?
Thank you, Madam President. Just want to echo and say thank you for all your hard work and to all of the folks who participated in this. And Dr. Driscoll, thank you too for setting a strategic plan and a vision and following through with that. So thank you all and everyone, especially our teachers who helped make that possible.
Thank you.
And I'll just add, I've been so blessed to have interactions with you in a couple of different areas. I've been blown away by your vision and your intelligence, obviously your ability to lead a team. I was able to participate or observe on Transportation Day, and I was super excited about the kids' ideas about self-driving cars. What I learned about self-driving cars, I was blown away by. And I'm so excited that the plan is expansion. Absolutely wondering if my kid's school is going to be on the list because I'm selfish that way. But I've been setting through strategic planning with the district in which I'm employed. And the number one thing that all high school students have been asking and requesting is real life application for these ideas. And I remember wanting the same thing as a kid. So thank you for having that come to fruition for our children, and it will set them on the right course for their lives. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Oh, Dr. Driscoll, you want to talk?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Katie for taking on that initiative and doing that project. One of the things I will hope all of us in our community just realize is that our students, if we don't limit our students, they can do amazing things. And so if we keep high expectations for our students, all of our students can do all these wonderful things. What we did is just expose them and say, here, we have these expectations for you, and we let their minds wander, and they created a beautiful city. And so I just want to thank Katie and her team for stepping up to the plate to show that it is a possible for all our students. And when we say all, we had every fifth grader was involved in that. And so it was a beautiful thing to see. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Item 703, Ms. Denton, open enrollment. I'm hoping for an equally exciting numbers. How fun.
Well,
I think
I'll
the
give it
odds are
my
stacked
best.
against you.
I think the odds are stacked against me, but I'll try anyway. So thank you, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Driscoll. Tonight, I will provide you an update of where our district is with open enrollment. We currently have 1,967 students who join us from outside of Tempe Elementary to be part of our school district. So I think that's something for us to be quite proud of. Within that, we also have 2,400 students that attend a school. They live within Tempe Elementary, but they've chosen to attend a school that is outside of their neighborhood school. So collectively, that puts us at about 60% of our students that attend their home school, and then the other 40% are open enrollment students. You can see if we look just at the top number at Aguilar, and you do have this chart in front of you, that Aguilar, for example, when these numbers were pulled, we had 373 students attending Aguilar. Of those 373, 228 were living in the Aguilar neighborhood. And then the remaining 145 students, 85 of those students attended a school within TD3. So it might be Scales, Holdeman, Fuller, but those 85 students are joining Aguilar School from within Tempe Elementary. And then Aguilar has an additional 60 students that attend from outside of Tempe Elementary. So you can see the numbers vary from school to school. Where you do see some zeros at McCamey, Meyer, those schools have no neighborhood boundary, and so 100% of their students are open enrollment. If we look at this trend over time, one of the questions we asked was, have these numbers fluctuated from year to year? And the next slide just shows that over the last 5 years, the percentages have remained fairly consistent. Approximately 60% of our students attend their home school, and then the other 40% are open enrollment students, a combination of in-district and out-of-district. So when we look at that far right column, 20% of the students that attend Tempe Elementary are coming to us from outside of Tempe. So that is really quite a significant number, 1,900 this year, and you can see from this chart that in 1920 we had 2,300 students. So something that we really need to continue to focus on in terms of attracting out-of-district students and The example that we saw tonight from our innovative learning, a great opportunity to attract folks from out of district to our innovative practices that we're developing here in Tempe. When we talk about our open enrollment policy, we follow both our policy JFB, and then we've got a statute 15816 that guide us in our open enrollment procedures. One of the things that was added a year or so ago is that we are required to post our capacity for open enrollment on our website. So you do have a document that was shared with you this evening that is a sample of what we have posted on our website. So a prospective parent could look at that and determine which schools and which grade levels are opened and closed. It also includes special programs, so a parent could look to see if a resource program were open or closed at a particular school, as well as our special self-contained programs at all of our schools. So that is something that is updated frequently. In addition to that, we also have our policies posted on our website. So if a parent has a question about the particular policy itself, those are made available. And then finally, the open enrollment form itself is available on the website. So parents can download that and apply for open enrollment at any time. We also have open enrollment applications available within the school office. So a parent can walk in or a guardian and request an open enrollment form at any time. There is no window of time to apply for open enrollment. A parent can apply at any time throughout the course of the school year. The chart that I shared with you that shows the capacity, I determined that by looking at several things. The first is the capacity of the building itself. So I'll use Broadmoor for an example here. Broadmoor has got 4 grade levels, or 4 classrooms at every grade level, I should say, 4 kinders, first up through 5th grade. So Broadmoor is currently at building capacity. So even if we had a line of kindergartners out the door, we only have space for 4 kindergartners, 4 kindergarten classrooms at Broadmoor. So they are currently at building capacity. But then I also look at classroom capacity. So I look to see if a classroom hits 25 students, I close open enrollment at that particular grade level for that school once they hit the number of 25 students. Right now, I've increased that a bit for over the summer because we know we do have summer loss. So the capacity that I'm looking at now is 28, but once the students arrive in July and the dust settles with enrollment, then when I'm looking at numbers and whether I should open or close, 25 is my target at K-5 schools, and it is 32, if not 35 at middle school. Additionally, you'll see availability of staff as a consideration for open enrollment. That deals specifically with kids that receive special programs, so speech and language, occupational therapy. Do we have available staff to be able to meet the needs of students that might be applying for open enrollment? And additionally, the capacity of a special program. So when a parent applies for open enrollment and they indicate that the child has an IEP, those open enrollment applications are sent directly to the student support department. They look at their capacity of staff and their program capacity to determine if or not the student can be accepted under open enrollment. And then the 4th criteria is whether or not the child currently is in the midst of a discipline situation at their current school. So if a child has been expelled from another school or school district, we do deny that open enrollment application. Or if they're in the process of being expelled or suspended from the school which they're coming from, we honor that school's recommendation and we do not accept those students under open enrollment. So those are really the 4 criteria by which we determine if an application is accepted or denied. Now, over the last year, the principals have gotten together and talked about the open enrollment process. And currently in Tempe, we do not have a process to revoke open enrollment. Many districts do. So we took a look at some of those policies that other school districts have. And we have put together one recommendation which we'd like to bring forward to you for the revocation of open enrollment for the future. And that is students that are displaying significant disciplinary events at their school. So we've accepted them under open enrollment and they are having some significant behavioral disciplinary challenges. The first step would be that the principal would meet with the student and the parent and discuss the current situation. Interventions would be implemented and then documented regarding that student. If the total number of days suspended is 9 or more, then a written recommendation to revoke open enrollment for the following school year may be sent to the superintendent or his designee. And when that recommendation would be sent, it would need to include a summary of the meetings, the interventions, so on and so forth, that have been attempted to work with that family and that student regarding open enrollment. When we did work on this, we did bring in our legal counsel to give advice in this particular area, and he helped us determine that he felt 9 days was a reasonable number in looking at some of the other policies that other districts are using to determine what would be that threshold of having a conversation about revoking open enrollment. When we look at current students that we have now that are under open enrollment and how many students may be affected by this, we believe it's approximately 20 to 30 students that this school year might have had a conversation with the principal and potentially had their open enrollment revoked due to extreme ongoing disciplinary challenges. And with that, I would be happy to answer any questions about our proposal for changing our policy. If we did invoke the revocation, we would have to amend policy JFB. And then if you have other questions about the actual numbers themselves, Dr. Driscoll as well can provide some information.
Thank you, Ms. Denton.
Yes.
Mr. Lemon, do you have any questions?
Yeah, now that I'm off mute, thank you very much for the presentation.
Yes, sir.
I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed having the slides ahead of time so I could think about this. The historical information about open enrollment and what's been happening over the last 5 years, I think it's very important for us to look for long-range planning and stability in the district. And so I appreciate that information, both the out-of-district open enrollment and the in-district students that open enrollment. I thought that was very telling about what we have in our program. So thank you so very much. And I look forward to having the discussion in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Ewers, do you have any questions?
Madam President, I don't at this time. Thank you so much for putting this together for us. I appreciate the information. Good job.
Thank you.
Ms. Trejo?
Thank you, Ms. Denton. I was wondering if you had collected any data on these students' home districts. Is it kind of a persistent pattern from where the home districts of these students are?
So are you talking about all of the 2,000 approximately? You're talking about just the behavioral?
The 20 to 30.
We have not. We can certainly look at that if you're interested. We do know that when we look at our open enrollment data, kids come from everywhere, from Levine, Maricopa, as close by as Kyrene and Mesa. So we do have a variety of families choosing to attend.
Well, I appreciate you putting this together. Thank you so much. And thank you for consulting with legal to ensure that we're still being compliant.
I would say some of those 20, even though they're open enrollment, they could be open enrollment in our district. And so they still would be provided education that it'd just be at their home school. So not all that 20 is out of district open enrollment. Some of that 20 is their open enrollment. So I should be going to Broadmoor, but I go to Aguilar and they're experiencing. And so they would still, even though if we revoke that open enrollment, we'd still have to service them at our district school.
Thank you. That seems
That
more
is
fair
correct.
to
Yes.
the process as well. Thank you.
You have a question?
Yeah.
Mr. Miller?
Thank you, Madam President. I just had one question. Do we know, assuming the proposed change happened right this second, how many of these open enrollment people would be subject to this change in the suspension law? Or to
So
the
we believe it's
revocation?
approximately 20. As Dr. Driscoll said, I don't know of the breakdown of that 20, how many are in district and how many are out of district. So that would be something we would carefully look at, which is why we wanted to put in a tiered intervention so that we can meet with the family and find out, are there interventions to better suit the child? And maybe it is returning to their home school. Maybe they need to stay at the school where they're currently attending. So all of those, it would not be a slam dunk that if you've hit 9 out of days that we're going to revoke your open enrollment, but it's something to consider, and then look at the circumstances surrounding each on an individual basis.
And one of the things I would bring up, sometimes we have students that get into a fight and they get suspended and they are now 9 days. One of the things I brought up is that if that was their only infraction, was that one incident, that wouldn't be a revoking of open enrollment. They made one mistake. So that's why we put in that caveat that they would have to make a recommendation, because we don't want it to be like this, say you make one mistake and you get 9 days and now you're gone. That could have been your only discipline the whole year. So we want to make sure we're looking at the student, because again, we're in the business for students, and that's why we do this. And so we want to make sure that we're providing those interventions as well, and not just saying, oh, you got 9 days, you're gone.
And that's certainly why we brought Jordan to the table to help us navigate through this and talk about what are other districts doing and what's reasonable, so that we can do the best thing, not only for the student, but then the school itself.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, so a couple questions from
Yes,
me. First of all, I was wondering, actually, based off of what Dr. Driscoll said, if the act, even if it's a single act, was incredibly grievous. I worry about saying if you've only done one thing, then we're not going to.
That's why we put the 9 days. You bring it up. So if it's an egregious act, then we could do it. But we wanted to make sure that we didn't have, where it's like so black and white, you do 9, you're gone, that we actually had that process of being able to look at what did the student actually do, and is that egregious enough to go up. You could have a student that have 20 different incidents and have like a day each and stuff like that, or you could have a student that just literally got in a fight and that was it. So yes, that's why we have that, so we can always look at that and see what interventions that we do. I like to tell people that suspensions, when you suspend a student, if you do nothing to intervene, then all the student did was serve days and they come back. So what is our process for, you did this and now here's how we're gonna help you. Why did you do this and how can we put steps in place so that it doesn't happen again? So yeah.
Okay. Do you mind going back to the slide where it shows the process that we would go through?
That one or?
The revocation of open enrollment.
Yes, certainly. There you go. And we certainly, when we talked about this as a group, we wouldn't wait for the 9 days, but if a student is having significant behavioral challenges at the school, we would expect that the principal and the staff are already meeting with the student and the parent, that it wouldn't just come as a surprise, that first conversation, and then certainly using the interventions, implementing them and documenting. And so we tried to write this as a tiered approach, not just all of these 4 things happening simultaneously.
I was actually shocked when I first got into the board that we didn't have this policy. I don't know a district that doesn't have it. And I think it actually is a huge cause of concern that we would feel like we're, for lack of a better term, saddled with that responsibility for the duration, when sometimes this is not the right environment for a student. So with that being said, a couple of things that I'm concerned about, since it will be a new policy, I would prefer that in the first couple of years that it would only be the superintendent. And because it would have to we would have to set firm parameters about how this is all processed. And I don't think that this is something that's easily delegated, especially when it's so new for this district. Secondly, I worry about special ed students and how this applies.
So special ed, I always tell people that's a different animal because of the laws. There's a whole nother process. So what a special education student, think of it, if we were to do this, they would have legal due process that we would have to go through. So their whole, I call it a whole nother ballgame. So it would be a legal process through their IEP that we would do that. And I also want to point out that none of this would happen until the following school year. So even if the student had 20 of this incidents, they're still ours for that whole school year.
Are you keep them for the whole year?
You can't, is the law, they're yours for that year. That's why it says the next year. You can't, if you accept a student in open enrollment, they're yours for that whole year.
Yes. And that when we met with legal counsel, he was very adamant about that piece, that when you approve an open enrollment, you are approving it for the duration of that school year, Now, we do not ask people to reapply annually for open enrollment, so once you've been approved, you remain with us for the lifetime that you're in TD3. However, that was something that he was quite frank about, that we could not revoke mid-year.
That's interesting. I did not know that. I did have a question just because I was explained that you cannot deny open enrollment based off of discipline status in their previous district.
Actually, you can if they're in the process, if they've been expelled or in the process of being expelled. Those are one of the criteria that you can actually deny open enrollment. But it can't be, you can't deny open enrollment for a student that is suspended.
So essentially, if a district, this is all theoretical, just so you know. So essentially, if a district deems this child is unsafe to be amongst their peers, it forces their hand to go through the expulsion process so that we don't pass that on to the system.
So what typically happens in other systems is a student is threatened that they will be expelled or long-term suspended, and that's why you see the suspension. A long-term suspension, I think by statute causes that as well. And so the student withdraws.
Yes.
If the student didn't go through the process and is not withdrawn,
Cannot be denied.
they can't be denied.
Okay.
Which is where being able to revoke later really comes into play. Because
Yes.
many times kids do exactly that. They withdraw before the process
Families
catches
do
up
it.
with them.
Usually the kids don't withdraw. Usually
Correct,
it's
yes.
Thank
The
you.
students are withdrawn. Yes, ma'am.
All right. No more questions from you. Oh, excuse me, Ms. Trejo.
And I know that we're working on interventions, but want to ensure wherever their home district is, obviously as far as we have a lot more, control in supporting these students in the pathway at their home school. But if it's out of district, what process are we doing to still support them to ensure that they're getting the support that they need for when they transition back to their home district, wherever they go?
So in that case, if this were to occur, then we would certainly be communicating with the family. We can put documentation in their CUME file so that when they move on to their next school, that has been documented, and those records can be sent to the following school so that schools know what we did to help support the child so they can be successful or more successful or press reset when they enter their new school.
And we also would reach out. Typically what happens when you get a new student at a school and they're coming back, you're like, what is going on here? And so we actually have communication with that school and say, these are the things we tried to do here, and here's the things that we found successful that actually help. And so we would do that process as well, but typically the other school doesn't know this until they actually do a records request. And so there's normally sometimes a lag in that because depending on when the student enrolls, and then they turn it into us. We find out when they get in a state system that student now was at your school and now is at school in Kyrene, for instance. And so when they do the records request, that's what ends up helping us have that conversation, because we don't know where the student will enroll until they actually physically enroll into that school.
And are we able to share, obviously, copy, so that you don't have to wait for that delay for those schools?
Yeah, so parents can get their student records upon request, and we typically get that, but then we have our own file that we send to the actual school that they go to. Now, with electronic being very easy and everything electronically, you can send it pretty quick. You don't have to wait for the fax and stuff like that. But it's really upon the parent enrolling into that next school that starts that process, because we have no clue where they're going until they actually enroll, because they could be, their homeschool could be at school in Kyrene, but they decide they're going to Chandler. And so how we get the trigger is once they enroll in that school, it goes in the state system. So we know Johnny is now at that school, we can send the records there, or that school will do a records request. Normally, like we tell our schools, when that student comes to you, do a records request right away so we can get that information.
So our next step will be then we will work on revising policy JFP, and we'll bring you that back for first read at a later date.
I actually do have one other question.
Yes.
Is there different rules for McKinney-Vento and foster kids?
Yes. Yes, if they qualify, there's laws. Yeah, we have to follow as well.
Thank you so much. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. All right, we're gonna lose our audience after we go to this next one. Item 9.01. Oh, sorry, we don't have anything for open call to the public, so we're skipping 801. Thank you. 901, discussion, consideration, and possible approval to adopt the 23-24 interest-based negotiations agreement with the miscellaneous rate schedules between Tempe School District Number 3 and Tempe Elementary Education Association and the 23-24 Classroom Site Fund Plan.
I'd like to make a motion to approve and adopt the interest-based negotiations for the 23-24 year with the miscellaneous rate schedules between Tempe and Tempe Elementary Education Association and the Classroom Site Fund.
Moved by Ms. Trejo and seconded by Mr. Miller. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Item passes 5-0.
Congratulations.
Thank you, good job. All right, item 902, discussion, consideration, and possible approval for the governing board members to reaffirm their top 5 priorities to the Arizona School Board Association Legislative Committee for consideration. You may recall that you received this via email earlier this week in order for us to have the discussion today. If you like, Ms. McDaniel provided us with last year's top considerations. Would you like me to go over that, or would we like to just start afresh?
I think going over it would be helpful, especially since Allison and Jim are not here to see the hard copy.
Okay, so last year, our top 5, one of them's removed because it was a COVID-related one. So I'll just go through the top 4. Number 1, fully fund full-day kindergarten and include kindergarten students in the override calculations. Number 2, establish financial and academic transparency for all institutions and individuals that accept public funds. Number 3, state standardized testing shall not be used for any purpose other than a year-over-year measurement of student growth in the tested subject. And the last one was about COVID and being able to declare an emergency. So, yes, actually, Ms. Trejo, would you mind?
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to share why we do this for those of you who don't know. Those of you who've been here every year know that this is something that the Arizona School Boards Association helps school boards. So whether you're in a rural, urban, suburban school district, every single board has an opportunity to advocate for, opportunities to advocate for our schools. And so those are some of our priorities last year. And the process is basically this is something that the legislators get to see, and hopefully that helps see what some of the needs are in some districts. And we have multiple categories, and those are President Windsor read off the ones that we did last year. So we're about to set the new ones, and it gets adopted in September at the Delegate Assembly.
Thank you very much, Ms. Trejo. So let's go through the 6 categories. We'll start with adequately and equitably fund district schools to at least the national median per pupil funding. Does anybody want to identify what their top choices are within this category? Ms. Trejo?
Can I recommend keeping fully fund full-day kindergarten to include kindergarten students in the override calculations? As some of you may or may not know, we do not receive full funding for a kindergarten student. So every student from grades 1 through 12, we get a certain amount of per pupil funding, but we basically get half of that amount for kindergarten. And as you know, kindergarten classes are smaller and we invest more resources, so being able to fully fund them would help us tremendously.
That was on my list as well. Mr. Lemon? Is that all right with you?
Thank you, Madam President. I think the aggregate spending limit issue is important, and I think that we need to revisit that and let the voters decide instead of people that happen to get into the legislature session. So that would be my top after full-day kindergarten, which has been around for me for 20 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lemon. I'm trying to find that on the bullet. Do you see it?
If it's not on there, we can discuss. Oh, it is. Which one is it? Can you?
You go down the third.
It's just underneath the bullet
It
points.
says amend the constitutional.
Oh, there we go.
Amend the constitutional aggregate expenditure limit to reflect current education funding levels and priorities.
Wasn't there a change in the legislature, Mr. Thompson?
As part of the budget bill for this next year, they already waived it, but that's just for 1 year. So if it's the constitutional change, that would be something else.
Thank you for clarifying that. I knew I read something. Thank you for clarifying it. All right, Mr. Lemon gave his top choice after fully fund. Mr. Miller?
Thank you, Madam President. For me, I think the fully funding kindergarten is, for me, far and away the top priority, at least in this section. Although I want to second Jim's point about the AEL. I mean, that is a continuing issue, so it's not that it's not important. But I think the kindergarten thing is a greater issue.
All right, thank you. Ms. Ewers?
Thank you, Madam President. I have to apologize. My lip has been a little bit derailed with an infection at the moment, and I just got kicked out of board docs. So I don't have my document from me. I'm working on that.
That's totally okay. Do you mind listening on the conversation?
Do I what?
Do you mind just listening in on the conversation and chiming in?
Not at all.
Okay.
I'm blessed to have a very good board, and we all usually agree that whatever it is to best help our children. So I'm gonna keep looking for that. I'll have it in front of me in a second, but I'm working on technology that's not mine. Sorry.
It's okay. All right, let's go to the next category, and then we'll take the tops after we get through all the categories. For the preserve and strengthen local control, any top choices in that category?
Madam President, I think this idea about collecting signatures ought to be the same for every elected official in the entire state, whether it's the legislature or city council or school board members. And so we're one of the few people that go out and beat doors and get signatures. And so I'm just think it ought to be modernized, particularly in the digital age. So that would be my priority on this, on local control.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lemon. Mr. Miller and Ms. Trejo?
Well, a lot of these are very obviously important to a lot of people, but I'm looking at it from the lens of what will benefit our district, not just ourselves as school board members. Like, as much as I don't love going out there in the hot sun collecting signatures, definitely not my top 5.
Mr. Miller?
Thank you, Madam President. The only one that kind of jumped out to me as a possibility anyway, at least in this section, was opposing legislation that intends to lessen or curtail the legal authority of locally elected school boards, including their authority to approve curriculum. And so.
Okay, I've identified both of those in those categories. Thank you. Moving on to improve outcomes for all students. Anybody have a highlight within this list of bullets? Go ahead, Ms. Trejo.
I don't know if this was, which one this was. Oh, sorry, it's under the next one. Never mind. But for this one that we picked last year, I think we had picked state standardized testing shall not be used for any other purpose than measurement of student growth in the tested subject, rethink and redefine the role and purpose of standardized testing and develop meaningful assessments and other measurable outcomes. I think I still, we talk about that pretty frequently, so I would, not mind having that as a priority again.
Okay, anybody else want to chime in for that category? Mr. Miller?
Thank you, Madam President. I think one that was also on last year's top 5, but I still think is pretty prevalent, is defending against efforts to limit the free speech of school employees.
Okay, I got it marked. Thank you. No other comments. Let's move on to category of require public accountability for taxpayer dollars spent on education. Ms. Trejo?
I think this is more important now more than ever, is what we said last year, establish financial and academic transparency for all institutions and individuals that public funds. As school districts, we're beholden to ensure financial transparency. Our budgets are posted, we have public hearings. Everything is very transparent, and I believe that if you're receiving public dollars, you should be beholden to the same processes and policies, and right now that's not the case. So I do think that our taxpayers deserve to know where their tax dollars are going, and it should be the same process for everyone who receives those dollars.
Mr. Lemon, Ms. Ewers, anybody want to chime in? Mr. Miller?
Yes, Madam President, I'm back up and running and I got my terminology in front of me. Thank you for your patience. I'm going to second what Monica said, establish financial and academic transparency for all institutions and individuals that accept public funds. I think this is key that kind of goes into some of the other ones that are listed below. People don't necessarily know that there's public funds going to other institutions that don't have transparency, don't have school boards, don't have to report it, and I don't think it's true governance of their money. So I second that. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Ms. Ewers. Okay, I want to throw out there, repeal any program that gives public funds for private schools, vouchers, empowerment scholarship accounts, and private school subsidies, school tuition organizations, and prevent any future expansion. Public money should stay within the public sector, in my opinion. All right, next category, Arizona rural and remote schools. I know while we are not a rural or remote school, even though we are on rural road, I love to say, we can advocate for our sister districts in those areas. So does anybody have something they want to throw out? For me, it would be protect rural and remote school districts from inequitable impact due to formula adjustments.
And Madam President, I thought the information about equitable technology, so the rural school districts could actually get some of the things that those of us that are in a more urban area enjoy, like internet connection and other sorts of technology. But I just think it's real important, and we need to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Lemon. Next category, schools.
Madam President,
Sorry.
I would like to add a vote to that technology. When I go around or visit other cities, this is still a huge problem for so many students and communities that they can't even teach at the ability they want to or have the technology that they need in their homes. That support should be mandatory at this point.
Okay, I've noted that. Thank you. Last category, school safety and security. Go ahead, Mr. Yao.
Thank you. I think obviously this is a big priority for everyone. I don't know if that's the language that I would use, but the last two I think are really important, especially Arizona school boards call upon the state, federal, tribal, and local officials to address causes of increased self-harm and violence in K-12 schools, and that also includes increased gun violence directed at K-12 schools. So if possible, I would combine that one because it's kind of saying the same thing.
Yeah, I concur with that. Mr. Lemon, Ms. Ewers, either of you?
Madam President, I thought the issue about supporting policy promotes social and emotional wellness, improving the school climate, safety, and learning. I thought that was kind of a key component, and I think our current state superintendent is against that sort of instruction. So maybe I'm unclear about that, but I think we need to promote that, help our kids from that standpoint.
Thank you, Mr. Lemon, and you're not unclear about that. All right, see no other comments?
Madam President,
yeah.
when I was reading through it this last week, I literally highlighted all four of them. I don't think one can go without the other, and especially when we're talking school safety and the epidemic that we have at the moment, we are not helping with social and emotional health, and then we're not talking about the violent situation. I think they go hand in hand. There's a full circle here. I don't know how we can vote for all, but I vote for all.
Yeah, we can't vote for all. You can only vote for 5. So.
5 total of every category. Ms. Ewers.
Ms. Ewers just wants to do it all. Yeah. Mr. Miller, did I cut you off? I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam President. No, I just wanted to second Jim's support of the point of supporting policy that promotes social and emotional wellness. I think that's very important.
Okay, so we have identified on here amending the Constitution aggregate expenditure limit, fully fund full-day kindergarten, amend the current statute to allow school board members to use the equal system, oppose any legislation that intends to lessen or curtail the legal authority of locally elected school boards, including the authority to approve a curriculum, defend against efforts to limit the free speech rights of school employees, the state standardized testing, establish financial and academic transparency for all institutions who accept public funds, repeal any program that gives public funds to private schools, equitably invest in technology for rural, or internet access, that's a rural student one, and also protect rural and remote school districts from inequitable impact due to formula adjustments, and then all 4 of the school safety and security options. So now the fun task of limiting this to 5. Ms. Trejo, your hand's on the button, poised. Go ahead.
Can I make a recommendation to consolidate school safety into maybe one that kind of incorporates some of the components?
Yeah, we can choose our own, if I
Yeah.
remember correctly, yes.
Yeah, we can add a 6th and 7th as well for alternative. And I want to note that most of everything on here is pretty much going to be on regardless in the delegate assembly, because other districts are going to have it, so they're going to have the joy of consolidating it anyway. I'm thinking about the current political climate and context and the feasibility of actually pushing any of these policies anyway. So I think keep that mindset as we move forward, which ones are feasible and supported that could actually, help us.
Yeah. Okay, so is everybody in agreement about the school safety and security, combine all of those into one statement about mental health, self-harm, violence, and specifically gun violence? I see 3.
I agree.
Okay,
I'm in.
that's 4. Mr. Lemon?
Yeah, that's okay.
Cool. All right, all 4 of those we'll put into like blockbuster statement, okay? So that's number 1. All right, second one for us. Since Ms. Trejo threw it out right from the beginning, I'd like to make fully fund kindergarten, full day kindergarten as one of our top priorities. Ms. Trejo, Mr. Miller, all in favor. Ms. Ewers, Mr. Lemon?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam President.
All right, 3 more to go. I would like to suggest we do something about funding for any institution that accepts public funds. Does anybody want to specify which one? Whether it's going to be the transparency or repeal any program?
I feel like number 1.
Yeah, please.
Sorry, I feel like the first one addresses number 2 in some ways, because academic transparency could also include, we every year as districts have to take our state standardized tests, and other folks do not, so that could be included as well. And other districts or other schools that receive public monies without transparency may change some things, but I do think it's important that, to me, it's a transparency. Choice is important for people, but for me, it's about transparency too, and financial and academic. And again, our taxpayers deserve to know where their dollars are going, and we also need accountability for academics.
I totally agree on that one. For me, that statement is broader than just the repealing the programs for like ESAs, because even if we did repeal the programs, private schools still have access to title monies, which most people don't realize. They are allowed to have access to any of those federal funds for their students that are in our boundaries that go to their schools, or if they are in our boundaries and those students go to their schools. Okay, so everybody agree with that one, going with the first bullet from the accountability for taxpayer dollars?
Yes.
Mr. Miller's yes. Ms. Ewers?
Yes.
Okay, that's number 3. We've lost our audience. They're all on their phones anyway, so let's keep on going. It's okay, I would be doing the exact same thing. It's okay. I'm not calling anybody out, just pointing out that we need to get through this. Okay, number 4. So we've covered safety, we've covered taxpayer dollars, we've covered fully funding kindergarten, which has always been a big issue. Number 4, I don't have any recommendation. Does anybody else?
Okay, can I throw a curveball?
Sure.
Don't be upset. But one thing that's been really top of mind right now, we live in Tempe. Tempe has a couple, I think, top zip codes for most evictions. And a lot of our staff, also, affordable housing, they can't afford to live here. So I think if possible, I'd like to add, give all districts authority to provide affordable housing options to faculty and staff.
I totally agree, because that's something that currently only rural districts can do, right? Anybody else have a differing opinion about that? Or how about, is anybody in favor of that? I'll just ask.
I agree.
Okay,
Sounds good.
great. There we go, number 4. It is under,
Adequately and equitably funded. It's the first category, last bullet.
last one. Hold on, guys, we're almost there. The high school teacher in me is freaking out about cell phones right now, but it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. I would like to throw out the state standardized one. State standardized testing shall not be used for any purpose other than a year-over-year measurement of student growth. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
I
Aye, there we go. I got my majority, we're good. Thank you, we made it through another year of choosing our top priorities. Thank you, sorry we have to drag you guys through that every year. Just so you know, we're dragged through it every year too. All right, item 903, good job team, you guys did a great job. Discussion and first review of proposed changes to governing board policy IGA curriculum development. Yep, I knew they were gonna flip right to it, thank you very much. So the blue is the recommended addition to the policy. And remember how we do first reads, we make recommendations for edits and wordsmithing now, and then we second read it as we edited it tonight, so that then we just ratify it from there and move on. What's that? Oh, yes, please. Ms. Trejo is always about the why, I really appreciate it.
Yes, it's important for people to understand, especially if you don't watch this every time. But what happens is we usually do a first read, but we don't vote on the policy, then we do a second. Many of these, all of these actually tonight, are recommendations from school board policy recommendations. And there have been situations in other districts where there have been complaints in other districts that have been questionable or violated law. So we are trying to be proactive here and ensure that our policies are up to date and compliant.
Okay, with that, does anybody have any recommendations for wordsmithing IGA?
Madam President, I had some concerns about a few words, making sure that throughout all of these, that parents and guardian were considered. We've taken the word guardian out of a few things, and not all children are, necessarily raised by their parent. So I think Dr. Driscoll has that information, and hopefully he can help me with that.
I think that's a great suggestion. Good catch, Ms. Ewers. Okay, so for all of the policies that we'll be looking at tonight, are you asking that for all policies, all 4?
Absolutely. I saw some inconsistencies, with every single one of them, that we had it in some, and then we took it out, and then we slashed it out, and then we changed it just to parent. And I think we need to be aware of that, because I think it could limit us to the ability to help with these issues.
Ask a question. Thank you, Ms. Ewers. Ms. Trejo?
Sorry, I want to ask the question because we didn't wordsmith this. It was recommended by ASBA, and so there's usually a reason why they changed the language, and I don't know if anyone's familiar as to why that was.
That's what I was gonna check on to make sure and get it back to you guys to say, if we don't include it, this is the reason why they say not to include it.
Yeah, because they're usually pretty good at, that's why they update the language, is because it's to be up to date with policy situations or litigation that occurred. So if there were words removed, it was probably for a reason, so if we could find out why, that'd be great.
I do have a question about that. Is this policy saying that the teams, the review committees must include those? Students, parents, teachers, and administrators? And it says recognized. That's an interesting phrasing. All right, Dr. Driscoll, you'll get us some more information.
Yeah, and I want to say yes, because there were, I won't say scuttlebutt, but parents being involved in the curriculum, that process and having multiple voices, I believe, yes, they were asking that they have input into that.
Got it.
But I'll get that back to you in a second.
Okay, did you push the button? I don't think you did. That's all right.
Sorry, I pushed it and turned it red instead of green.
Thank you. All right, so other than guardians, any other additions or subtractions? All right, cool. 904, discussion and first review of proposed changes to governing board policy IGD curriculum adoption. Okay, moving on to 905, discussion and first review of proposed changes to governing board policy IJJ textbook supplementary materials selection and adoption. All's quiet on the Western Front. 906, discussion and first review of proposed changes to governing board policy JLCD, medicines, administering medicines to students. There's a lot of redactions in that.
Which one was this, 906?
Yeah, 906.
Oh, it's epilepsy?
It's part of it, yeah. Okay. No other suggestions or, okay. Great. 1001, reports from standing committees. Do we have any, or I thought we did those? Yeah.
Madam President, real quick, can we go back? That was one of those examples that there was just guardian or 18-year-old on there. I wanted to make sure that we include our parent, guardian, or one or the other. It wasn't complete.
Okay. Dr. Driscoll will find out why it's been, okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Ewers. All right, 1001, reports from standing committees. Ms. Ewers or Mr. Lemon? None from you?
Madam President, the investment committee met a week ago Monday, and we're rolling over the tri-district committee, and everybody's going to go at least on their own way. But I think what's happening is we're going to take those 403B and 457B accounts, and at the end of the fixed term, probably around the 1st of November or whatever, we're going to say this is what all the accounts have, and get ready to transition them over to the state system. That's nationwide. And so they'll be we'll continue to meet to transition. Our consultant will help us through that process. And
So I have a quick, so those will automatically happen for employees, or do we have to opt into that rollover?
that I forget what the answer to that. Eric, do you remember?
President Windsor, it should automatically roll over, I believe. I was not able to attend that meeting on Monday because we were wrapping up our IBN discussions that day. It was a long day, that one. But yeah, I believe the whole plan will move over there, and it shouldn't have to be an opt-in part of it. It's just the tri-district investment committee is essentially dissolving, and we're all going to that nationwide ASRS system that way.
Okay, and how will that be communicated to employees?
I believe we've already sent out initial communication, and then there will be ongoing communication as it progresses.
And all the current account holders or people that participate, they'll also receive information from the current people that provide those services and then from nationwide. And so I think because it's a retirement or a tax deferred option, I think you'd have to opt out of it to get all your money out at that time. And then the taxes and all the other withholdings would have to be taken out. But at that time, so it's kind of complex in the accounting. That's why they wanted a date
Thank you, Mr. Lemon. Mr. Thompson? Any other questions about the committee or, okay. Ms. Ewers, nothing from you, right? Because you already reported last time? Or
No, I
what
actually,
times
we just
ago?
had on May 9th, the Tempe Group Insurance Fund Trust Board had our meeting, and a few things that I do have to go over. We did have to make a few changes to the program. It wasn't easy to do that. I do want to thank the board and committee and those who volunteer for this and volunteer on our admin staff for this. We take it very, very seriously with the goal of making health the top priority for all of our employees and keeping the costs down as much as we can. So there's changes that have already been submitted and the employees are aware of them. It's important to understand we're in a unique situation, which is a great situation as far as I'm concerned. We're self-insured, and self-insured allows us to choose what programs and what things we want to invest in and how we help our employees stay healthy. And with that said, though, insurance is important to make sure that no one loses their homes, their assets, their health continues to get better, not worse. But there's a give and take in that, and that give and take is that we all participate. And what I ask is that everybody using the system remembers that there's times where they need it, there's times where others need it, there's times where they don't, and that's how insurance works. That's how it stays strong, and that's how we're going to be able to maintain having a system like that. So I have a few requests that everyone please consider generic drugs when it's time for any of their renewals or they're given any drugs, and to ask their doctor, is there a generic for that? Number two, if you could please use mail order pharmacy. Using these programs allows us to save money in one way that we can put in a program for you somewhere else. And those two things are huge. If you really want to help and be a part of the bottom line, being aware of those two things would be great. And lastly, please use your telehealth doctors. They're convenient. You can go to them in your jammies at any time, at no cost. It saves time. It saves gas. It saves the stress of sitting in a doctor's office and wondering if you're going to get something else while you're there. That's how, if everyone can participate in helping with that, we can continue to keep providing more services. And those services, it's impressive the services we have. We've asked that the district continue and Sandy continue to do an incredible job as she has on continuing to get those programs out, like a Healthy Mom program. If you have any life changes in your life, please reach out to Sandy and her department, because there are actually services that we offer for diabetes, nutrition services, mom health services, things that not all traditional groups can afford to do. We find that it's important. So please reach out and utilize those. And I'd like to thank everybody in the district, every single person that's employed, for getting their wellness exams. You all did an incredible job, and you're thinking, oh, wellness exams, those must cost us. You know what? That small cost makes sure that you're as healthy as you possibly can be, and it helps us prevent future larger claims and helps us keep you healthy. So please continue to participate in the wellness exams, and I want to tell you, we're having rock star results with it, so keep it up, everybody. Thanks again.
Thank you, Ms. Ewers. Item 1002, student activity report for March 2023. Everybody received that? Are there any questions about it? Okay. Item 1101, board members' points of information. Mr. Lemon, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Madam President. I really enjoyed the retirement reception the other night. I got a lot of hugs. I think I also got COVID that night, so we'll find out. But anyway, it was a great event, and it was good to be back in person again. So thank you so very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lemon, and thank you for not spreading it further. Ms. Ewers.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to first thank the Tide Foundation for an incredible event that they put on a couple weeks ago. The money that they raise is extraordinary. The people that are a part of it are extraordinary. Those who are awarded were extraordinary, and we're so lucky to have a group of such high commitment people in our community that want to help us and especially want to help with our children who are in need. I hope that a lot of students don't go without anything, such as glasses, clothing, extra help with school. And I hope their teachers know that they have support from this organization. There are just amazing people in our community of all ages who want to help us be strong. They raise a fantastic amount of money for us. And I'd just like to say thank you. Great job putting on the event. Those in the room, you know who you are. You worked very hard to make that a beautiful event, and congratulations. I attended a lot of the orchestra and band concerts the last couple weeks, and I'm highly impressed. You know, one of the most amazing things is that not one of our students has to rent an instrument. I rented an instrument the entire time I was going. So I have friends who couldn't be a part of band, orchestra, or jazz band or marching band, and we find the arts to be important, and I'm grateful for a board that continues to support that. You can see that, I mean, it's just impressive of what these students have been able to learn over the years, so congratulations to our entire music program. I want to make sure that everyone has a very safe summer. Thank everyone for getting through it and taking care of each other, and just please make sure that you talk to your kids about fentanyl and rape. They may be exposed to it more than you know. And please be careful around water. I saw some reports today of some projections, and it's not even the young ones, but we have a lot of our young ones, but even older ones. So please be careful around pools and doing summer events. Keep your family healthy and safe. And just thank you everyone for an awesome 2022-23 school year, and thank you for your support of me through that year too. And I'd like to thank the board for everything that they've done to get us through a year of coming back, and I think getting back to some normalcy, I hope.
Thank you, Ms. Ewers. Mr. Miller?
Thank you, Madam President. I just quickly wanted to, well, first thank Dr. Driscoll for way back on April 26th, taking me on my first campus visits throughout the district. So I got to see Geneva Epps Mosley, the construction going on there, and Dave kind of took us on a little tour throughout there. The views there are awesome. The gym looks very cool. I like the music rooms there, which is very neat to see a school in construction, and so that was kind of fun. And then I got to see Arredondo, which is the school I'm in the region for, and so that was just very neat. I kind of like the dividing line the building had of like the old school versus the newly constructed one. Visited a third grade class, a first grade class, and we saw a PE class doing pickleball, and that was great and fun. Kids were really getting after it. And then finally we got to, I saw Bustos, which is not a school, but it is a district facility where folks are doing good work there, and that was really neat. I just want to thank Dr. Driscoll again for taking time out of his day to let me do that. So,
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Ms. Trejo?
Just want to say happy last day of school tomorrow to everybody and enjoy your summer. Hopefully everyone is safe and has some fun. And to our 12-month employees, I know you're stuck with us a little bit longer, but hopefully you get a break too. Thank you for a great year.
Thank you, Ms. Trejo. Two things I want to identify. First, the Excellence in Education Diablos Award was wonderful. It's one of the highlights of the year, and was really grateful for all of that Brittany's team and her sister teams in the area put together. They're a rock star group and pulled off an amazing event once again. Thank you very much for including me in that. Also, I wanted to let everybody know that Carminati was able to take their entire school to medieval times on May 10th. It was paid for, funded by Going the Extra Mile, and they got to hear a lesson about getting along and inclusion, and of course seeing the horsemanship at the event, and they had a great time thanks to that community-based organization that funded that for them. So thank you for Carminati making sure it happened, and Going the Extra Mile for making sure we had the money to make it happen. Other than that, end of the school year, we're also thrilled, so let's make it also the end of the meeting. So, oh, right, announcements, thank you. 12:01, the last day of school is tomorrow, Thursday, May 18th. There will be an agenda committee meeting on Wednesday. Dr. Driscoll, I think we'll have to change that. So strike that from the record. The next regularly scheduled governing board meeting will be Wednesday, June 7th at 6 p.m. in the Karen Air Boardroom. There will be a board retreat on Thursday, June 8th from 4:30 to 8:30 p.m. at the Little America Hotel in Flagstaff, and the ASBA Summer Leadership Institute will be held June 8th through June 10th at Little America Hotel in Flagstaff. Item 1301, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Madam President, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Miller and seconded by Ms. Trejo. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item passes 5-0. We are adjourned.